All right, hello everybody. Welcome once again to Hearthstone Deck Test. I'm Taylor Cocke for Yahoo Esports. We're going to get into a game right now, but just so you know, we're going to be playing Modernleper's Zoo Warlock deck. This is a nice little aggro deck that has a lot of ability to control the board. It's been storming up the ladder as of late, so we just want to give it a shot, show you a little bit of how it's being played. Yeah, so that's the deck we're taking a look at today. This deck it sort of revels in getting early board control, making sure that you have a lot of minions on the board early and make them stick for a long time. Obviously, this is not the world's greatest hand. I'm gonna actually toss back this Imp Gang Boss. If I had a one-drop guaranteed, I would probably keep it. But for now, I'm just gonna throw it right on back, keeping that Direwolf Alpha just for a little bit of extra early pressure. This is not the world's greatest hand. Forbidden Ritual is really great once you get, oh, perfect. Hey, there's a Flame Ember. Exactly what we needed, especially against Priest, who's probably looking to play some nice little 3 health 1-drop. He's going to allow me to, he's going to pass the turn and let me get a little bit more aggro. I'm going to drop my Direwolf here. It's actually a relatively good start for this deck. I would have liked to have seen a couple more 1-drops just to make things happen. Maybe a Knife Juggler would have been nice, but this is what we're going to work with for the time being. So the problem with this deck is it has a lot of 2 health minions, and so anything like Loot Hoarder or anything with a cantrip like that is going to be a bit of a problem for this deck. Darkshire Councilman is definitely a card that I underestimated quite a bit. It's amazing in this sort of aggro style of deck, but right now it's not the world's greatest time to drop it. I suppose we could. Let's give it a shot here, just so we can see how everything works out with him. Trade that out just so he can't kill off my Direwolf, because that thing is going to give us much more mid-game to late-game pressure, just because we really want to continue buffing up our creatures and making sure that everything is going well. Alright, back in Art of Evil. So now we know that he's playing Cthulhu, and is going to make my life difficult in order to kill that thing. But, you know, that's fine. We will figure this whole thing out eventually. Alright, so Possessed Villager, this is another card that's really high value, really solid for this deck. Now what I'm considering here is this Forbidden Ritual worth playing right now? I think it is, just to really get my Councilman going. So I'm going to spend my remaining 3 mana to summon 3 more 1/1s. This is a pretty solid spot to be, especially on turn 3 or 4, because he's not able to cast his Holy Nova as of yet, unless of course he coins it out, which would be a severe bummer for us. But for the time being, as you can see, we've got a lot of board control. This is where this deck thrives, making sure that its minions are on the board and has a really solid roster of dudes in order to go in on the enemy as often as possible. So, like I said, we're in a good spot right now, unless he decides to coin Holy Nova, which I'm kind of smelling it. Oh, okay, Hooded Acolyte, that's fine. We can deal with that. All right, so here's the consideration here. Is it worth trading everything in? So I've got just I can trade everything in to kill this guy off, which might be worth it considering that he can just kill off my Darkshire with this guy. You can just trade it in right there. Alternatively, actually, you know what? Let's. This is a really inefficient trade, but I would really prefer this minion not be on the board anymore. Drop a few more guys here. Make sure my Darkshire Councilman is getting nice and buff. Nice little 8 damage on turn 5. Not too shabby. So this is going relatively well. Again, we're still highly susceptible to Holy Nova or any sort of AoE removal. I don't like where this is going. Okay, Disciple of Cthulhu, that's fine. So at this point, the Councilman has sort of done his job. He's done a ton of damage, and he's really just made sure that they have to waste a lot of removal trying to get rid of him. So this is actually a really nice draw here. Can I win? Hold on. So it's I got 2, 3, 4, 5 damage on the board, plus another 5 in my hand. Yeah, that's game. All right, easy peasy. Go full face here. And drop my Doom Guard, classic Doom Guard. No cards in hand. Perfect. All right, well played. So this is how this deck is supposed to work. It gains a lot of board control early, does a ton of damage. Make sure that everything goes well immediately. However, if I had let that game go a little bit further on, there's a high chance that he would have started dropping taunt minions, which this deck has a lot of problems with, considering that it actually doesn't play any silence, which I may or may not add in, depending on whether I'm just looking to climb the ladder or whatever. Obviously, I'm rank 19, so I will be looking to climb the ladder shortly. This is early in the season, so I haven't had a ton of time in order to really make sure that I get to the higher levels that I need to be. So let's give this deck this deck another shot here. Let's play a second game just to see if maybe somebody will give us a bit of a challenge, because that was quite a good hand that we managed to pull off there. So yeah, another priest. So this is perhaps something that might give us trouble. This is a hand that I am not super nuts about. Sea Giant, this deck does play 1 just because you do tend to have a lot of minions on the board. Imp Gang Boss is quite good with Darkshire Councilman. It's a nice little combo, but I'm not sure if we want to keep both of them in our opening hand, just because I really want to be able to find those 1 and 2 drops. So let's toss both of those back. Keep the Darkshire, because if we do get those 1 drops, double power overwhelming. This is not a good hand. Oh, and we get a Dark Iron Dwarf. So missing your 1 drop for Zoo Warlock is not the best. So we're gonna go ahead and hope for the best as this deck moves forward. Let's see what the priest has on his first turn. Nothing, apparently, because this is Hearthstone, and sometimes your opponent takes forever to play. So let's keep talking about the deck a little bit. So this deck runs, we didn't really see it too much in the last game, but it does run Voidwalker. You can see the deck list on the left there. It does run Gormok the Impaler, which is a card that I wasn't super impressed with when it was first shown, just because there's a lot of options to make sure that your board doesn't have 4 minions on it, especially in the current meta. So there's our Northshire Cleric finally playing his Northshire. It's turn 1 and you're playing Priest. Like that was gonna happen. So I do not want to play my Possessed Villager right away, just because it's going to just trade into the Northshire and just give him a free card on turn 2, which isn't the greatest. Obviously, so I just sort of went ahead and life tapped, got myself an Abusive Sergeant. So we are sort of in an okay spot here. We're gonna go ahead and see what happens as this deck moves forward. This is not a great job for this deck, so not super nuts about what's happening here. Okay, Brand Bronzebeard means he's probably going to be looking to play something big next turn. There's that Gormok. Yeah, this is not our finest hour, ladies and gentlemen. I could drop the Councilman, see if I can make something happen next turn. Yeah, so this is a bit of a risky play, just because if he has removal, if he's got Shadow Word Pain, this thing's going to die right away, which means that it will not get much in the way of value out of him, but I've got to try to find some early game pressure. Alright, so we are up against a Dragon Paladin deck, which is another deck that is doing quite well on the ladder at the moment. So it's starting to sort of work its way towards the top tier stuff. Okay, so we've got a Defender of Argus in play that we could drop here. Now the question becomes, do I want to drop a bunch of 1-drops, make sure that I have a full board, or do I want to drop the Defender of Argus, buff up my Darkshire Councilman, make sure he survives for the next turn? I think he will survive, or he will likely die regardless. So I'm going to go ahead and assume that I should probably start dropping some 1-drops. Life tap first just to see what we get. Alright, so we're going to draw the Possessed Villager, give myself a nice little Abusive Sergeant to the Darkshire. I'm going to take out this, I'm going to take out young Northshire Cleric here, just to remove some options for card draw. We don't want the priest to get too many cards, just because if they start drawing cards and they start finding their removal, that's a bad time. So we do have a lot of burst in our hand at the moment, which means that if we can start dropping him low, we may have a chance here in order to get to the late game, get through the late game, really get some pressure down. It's not looking great, just because we don't have a ton of options next turn. We got 3 4-drops and 5 mana. Can't drop more than one of those. One of those is kind of useless. I would like to hold the Gormok the Impaler just to make sure that I get that battle cry off. But I'm considering the Defender of Argus, unless they kill off all of my minions. Yes, which it seems that is the case. Okay, that's actually not a terrible draw. Let's get our Dark Iron Dwarf out. Get a nice little 4/4 on the board. Start once again getting that pressure back. I'm gonna drop the Possessed Villager instead of the Abusive Sergeant, just so I can use his Battlecry next turn. And I have a sneaking suspicion that we're going to be in a really bad shape after this turn, but we will find out. I do have 2 Power Overwhelmings in my hand, so if they do drop something big, they do drop a minion that I really have to take care of that turn, I can sort of use the Power Overwhelming rather than a face-destroying burst spell. I can use it as a bit of a removal. It's very well synergized with Possessed Villager and the like. Yep, that seems about right. This is actually quite a good combo. Blackwing Corruptor and Brand Bronzebeard is incredibly powerful, just because you can sort of drop just about anybody you need to drop. So what I'm thinking is a Defender of Argus. What I would love to do is Defender of Argus the Possessed Villager, the Shadow Beast that pops out of the Possessed Villager, and use that Possessed Villager to get buffed and kill off the Blackwing Corruptor. I'm considering if this is worth dropping my Power Overwhelming for. I believe it may be. This is not ideal, but you know, it's worth a shot. Let's see what happens. Sergeant, I don't want this brand to be here anymore. Kill him off. Alright. Now this deck does have a few ways to get back into the game. In the late game, it does run that Sea Giant. That will, once the board's a little bit full, it will become incredibly cheap to cast in the late game. That is a decent option. Gormok is actually a surprisingly big damage swing, oftentimes. There is another Defender of Argus in here somewhere, and we do run 2 Doom Guards, so it can deal 2 damage at some point in the game. Yeah, so that was 100% worth killing Brand, just because I don't want him drawing 2 cards off that Azure Drake. Voidwalker, okay. Let's see what we can find. There's that Sea Giant. Now, I could drop him. That would give me a little bit more board pressure. But I have a sneaking suspicion that he does have that Shadow Word Death in his hand, because he hasn't played one yet. I mean, I haven't played a minion that would be available for that, but let's see what happens. I think this is a misplay, but I think there's a lot of misplays happening in this game. But we will see if we can make something happen. Unfortunately, I would love to be able to cast Forbidden Ritual and then Gormok the Impaler right afterwards, but obviously Forbidden Ritual makes you spend all of your mana, so that's not an option. Yep, there's that Shadow Word Death. This is what this deck looks like when it's losing. just a lot. The priest managed to draw a bunch of removal. That's not good. Taunt is not good for this deck. I have a sneaking suspicion that we're going to lose this one, folks. There's Knife Juggler. Ooh, this is actually a nice little combo we can do here. So I've got 6 mana and 1 minion on the board. That means I would drop 6 tentacles off Forbidden Ritual, which would fill up my entire board. Alternatively, I could just drop a Voidwalker for 1 mana. Still get that Knife Juggler proc. I now have a Taunter. And could you not hit him in the face? Could you, like, actually maybe... Come on, Knife Juggler. You can do it, buddy. Hit somebody else. Yes, nice. Good job. Good job. Yeah. Somebody would kill somebody. All right, cool. So now we have the option to play Gormok the Impaler next turn, assuming he doesn't Holy Nova, which would be extremely efficient right now. Especially because it would heal up a pair of his minions as well as him. Okay, there's a Shadow Word Pain. That means he does not have his. That means he likely does not have a Holy Nova in his hand. It's quite useful. Good things to know, folks. Alright, so we've got a Flame Imp in our hand, but we have 10 HP. Not super great to cast him. Should we YOLO tap? I think it might be time to YOLO tap. Let's see if we can find it. Alright, that's a lot better. But now we're in a very sticky situation. I think the play here is to drop my Gormok. Can I clear his board? Gormok, yeah, totally. Okay, so Gormok away this guy. Drop a Power Overwhelming on one of my tentacles. Kill that. Prepare there. And move past the turn. Okay, so again, still not a great spot. This is turn 9, which is not a great place for this deck to be in. So if he drops any bombs, I'm in trouble. Oh, hi, Sarah. I have no way of dealing with that. So he's going to be getting a lot of Ysera cards very shortly. So my hope now is to see if I can find enough damage to kill him before he kills me. Let's just go full face here. Alright, so I'm at 5 HP. If he drew the card that deals 5 damage to everything... Oh, does that only hit minions? I'm not sure. We're about to find out.
Let me change your mind.
Oh, that's not good. Considering, thinking. I bet he kills my Gormok. Oh, interesting. Okay, so that actually makes my life a little bit more difficult because I can't quite get through that with one minion. I have to trade something in, unless I want to give the Gormok. I want to kill that with the Gormok, which means the Gormok for sure dies next turn. Although it's probably gonna die next turn anyway. But if I he must choose quickly. Where are we going here? Where are we going here, Priest Man? I can heal himself. Okay. Bonk. So now he has 2 Ysera cards, which is rather unpleasant for me. That's actually not a terrible draw. Okay. I would like to drop the Direwolf Alpha. I put my minions in the wrong spot here. This isn't great. It's fine though. Oh wait, I can just do this. Beep. All right. I'm not in a terrible spot. I mean, I'm in a bad spot, but I'm not in the worst possible spot. I am out of Power Overwhelmings. I've only got the 1 Doomguard left. Up there's the Holy Nova. And that's it. Well played. more Drake. Oh, he's gonna BM me. All right, guys. So that's what Zoo Warlock looks like when it's losing. It doesn't get enough board control early. Doesn't get enough damage down, and it sort of flails around trying to get minions on the board. The Warlock class power is really powerful. Trying to get more cards in your hand, but it does have the payoff of you losing a bunch of HP. So it's still a solid deck. It's an extremely solid deck. I think this is probably the best deck in the format right now. If maybe sort of a mid-ranged aggro shaman might be a little bit on the same level, but for the most part, that's it. So yeah, thank you guys for watching Hearthstone deck test. This is Taylor Cocke.